Hello and welcome to Tillyhog Rectory. This morning I decided I would go for a walk. I've decided during this really strange time that I'm going to walk over to the office every other day. And it's about a 1 hour walk, there and back, half an hour each way. But this morning it was particularly lovely. There were lambs in the fields. The daffodils were blowing in the breeze in Tillyhog village. There was new greenery appearing on the hedges. And of course the view of the Sperrin Mountains was really lovely as well. And an old song came to mind, one that was written several thousand years ago. And we have it preserved for us in the book of Psalms. And it's Psalm 121. And it starts with these words, "I will lift up my eyes to the hills. Where does my help come from? My help comes from the Lord, the maker of heaven and earth." From what I know of it, these words were written as a travelling song. When our kids were young, we used to use travelling songs in the good old days when you were actually allowed to go and visit Granny or Grandad on a Sunday afternoon. And the kids are asking, "Are we nearly there yet?" We would sing, let's sing a song or let's listen to a song. Some of these psalms, there are some of them grouped together, 15 in fact, and they're all travelling songs. And they were songs that pilgrims would have joined in singing together as they made their way to Jerusalem for the holy days or the holidays, for the festivals and for the feasts. So Psalm 121 is really written in two parts. Verses 1 and 2 are really a question and answer kind of thing. Imagine you're a traveller several thousand years ago and you're making your way to a festival in a city far away. And you've got, clothes on your back and some kind of carrying bags and family and children in tow. And you see ahead of you the hills or the mountains. And you're thinking to yourself several things. First of all, this could be quite a walk or quite a climb through the mountains. You're probably also thinking, I hope the weather stays okay. I hope the sun isn't too hot and I hope it doesn't get too cold. And you're probably thinking too, the mountains can be dangerous. The paths aren't as good as they are in the towns and cities. You could easily fall and break an ankle and lose your footing. And as well as that, in the mountains, the bad guys can hide behind rocks and jump out and beat you up. So you're looking up with fear and trepidation, thinking, I'm lifting up my eyes to the hills. Where does my help come from? And the answer, of course, my help comes from God, who is the maker of hills. Part 2 of the psalm then starts really in verse 3. And the pronouns change from I to you. And what you have in the second part of the psalm is really a blessing, a prayer for a blessing. To the ancients, a blessing was a very powerful thing. It was a well-wishing, but more than that, it was a prayer for God's blessing and protection and guidance on those whom you loved. Probably the most memorable and important blessing from the Old Testament is from the book of Numbers. We call it the Aaronic blessing. May the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord make his face to shine upon you and be gracious to you. May the Lord lift up the light of his countenance upon you and give you his peace. Bible scholars have this idea that these travelling songs, this little group of songs within a book of songs, 15 of them, all picked up words from the Aaronic blessing in Numbers chapter 6. And each of the psalms then picks a word as a theme and kind of develops it. And it's a very clever, creative songwriting idea. But the word used again and again in Psalm 121 is the word keep or keeper, or in the New International Version, watch or watchman. And the idea is simply that when our circadian rhythms kick in and we feel sleepy and we need to nap or to crash out for the evening, God never sleeps. The idea is really as simple as that. Sometimes in movies, there's a scene where the watchman who is supposed to be keeping an eye on things falls asleep sometime at night. And when the watchman falls asleep, all kinds of things can happen. The princess who's been locked up against her will can make her dramatic escape, or the baddies camped outside the forest can make their way in and overtake the goodies. All kinds of things change when the watchman falls asleep. But the thought in Psalm 121 is that he who watches over us, in other words, God himself, neither slumbers nor sleeps. Many years ago, there was an old Christian, we call him St. Augustine, and he once wrote these words. He said, "Who is there who will neither slumber nor sleep? When you see one among men, you are deceived. Every man slumbers and sleeps." And then he finishes with these words. He said, "Seek not your keeper among men. Whatever you're at today or tonight, may the Lord bless you and keep you.